Hey everyone, welcome to my channel as a married man. I want to thank you all for tuning it in and checking it out. It is here where we talk about love, life, relationships, and more, all from the perspective of a married man. So please, everyone, if you can hit that like button and definitely subscribe to the channel, I totally appreciate it. So today I am reviewing a video by a fellow YouTuber whose name is Pearl, and her video was titled 50% of women will be single and childless. Marriage is never returning. What does the future look like? Ouch. That's pretty bleak. And honestly, not something I would expect from a female YouTuber. No offense. This is sort of stuff I hear generally, like all the time in the quote unquote manosphere, like the MTOW red pill type of content creators. Is this sort of thing they espouse all the time? Hearing it from a female YouTuber is pretty interesting. That's kind of what drove me to cover this video. But anyways, Pearl, she talks about the future and marriage and what will happen to women. And of course, as a married man, I found that interesting, like I said. So I do want to give a shout out to Pearl for the video, to her content. I have seen her around YouTube before and on X. So I am familiar with her a little bit and her views. And I will post a link to the video itself to her channel, for those of you who want to check it out, maybe see a little bit more. But I'll put the link in the bio there for you. So real quick, I am going to play parts of the video. I'll comment and I will end it up with my 2 cents on the subject. But it is an interesting take. I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but yeah, it is definitely neat hearing this from a female perspective. So here we go, guys.
So everyone knows the commonly cited Morgan Stanley study that half of women are going to be single and childless between the ages of 25 and 45 by 2030. Now, it's 2024, we're 6 years away, and we're already starting to see this, right? And I had somebody recently say to me that he just expects to be a single parent because that's the way the world is going. And even though this is kind of a gloomy outlook, I couldn't help but think he was right. And the reason that I couldn't help but think he was right is I'm already starting to see it.
So Pearl starts off by citing the Morgan Stanley study that states that by 2030, half of women aged 25 to 45 are going to be childless. Ouch. So it's now 2024, and Pearl continues that we're starting to see it. Is that true, everyone? But she ends this little clip here talking about how she has a male friend and he expects to be a single parent because that's just the way the world is going right now. And Pearl states that she herself, like I said, she's starting to see it. And so the study that finds half of women will be childless by 2030, as a woman herself, she's starting to see the signs that it's happening. That's pretty scary, to be honest.
So let's say half of women don't marry, don't have kids, okay? What happens to the other half of the women? Let's be generous here. Half of the women that have kids, let's say a third will be single mothers. I think we all could agree, on both sides, that's probably about true. Now, let's say the 2/3 get married. Now, we know that half will divorce, so then you take out that half. Now you have the third of the half, which is like, 15, 20%. Let's just say 20% of women. No, that's too high. Let's say 15% left that stay married. We know a quarter of marriages are sexless. I would argue that's on the low end. So you take out a quarter. I mean, that's maybe 5, 10% of people that are married.
So in this clip, Pearl just breaks it down a bit statistically. Like, let's say 50% of women don't marry, don't have kids. What happens to the other half? Half have kids, a third will become single mothers, and maybe two-thirds will get married. Half of that will get divorced. From there, let's say the rest, say 15% stay married. Then you have to factor in sexless marriages, of other outside factors like that. And, let's end this off by saying that maybe 10% in the end will actually stay married. Like that's mind blowing.
And it's really interesting because I'm going to keep seeing the cope, right? I'm going to keep seeing everybody say, return to traditionalism, return to traditionalism. And don't confuse this with being my hope. This isn't what I hope to happen, but what seems like, and every indication is showing that it's going to happen. We've liberated women to the point that they don't need men. They're given jobs we don't deserve. We're overpaid, and we're given government incentives to leave.
So Pearl starts talking about the cope here, basically excuses. She also talks about the rallying cry of return to traditionalism, return to traditionalism. And, I'll admit, as a married man, I do push a trad mindset, find a unicorn, get married, have kids, raise a family. That sounds easy in theory, I guess. But, and this isn't what Pearl hopes will happen, she iterates, like this is just what she thinks is going to happen, what she foresees. But she continues that basically, here's what happened. We liberated women to the point they don't need men. They're given jobs that they don't deserve. Women are overpaid. Women are actually given government incentives to leave. So this part, as a married man, it's hard for me to say this without getting branded as a sexist and whatnot. Have women been liberated to the point they don't need men? Yes, I'll admit that, that is the downside of feminism. As far as jobs that they don't deserve, and being overpaid, I know that there is an equal pay movement, and there's the myth of the wage gap. But I do know that in some cases, employers will fill jobs with women who do lack the skill and the talent of their male counterparts. Women do, in some circumstances, get chosen over more qualified men. I'll admit that. There's the whole DEI controversy as well lately, if you follow the news. But some examples I can state off the top of my head are those that are in the media. Um, I'm talking about like from the movies to comic books, to the video games. I'm talking like developers, comic book publishers, video game developers, movie studios, television studios. Like women are being chosen to like to helm like popular comic book series, and video game franchises, movies and TV shows with like a loyal following, and then they proceed to tank them. They proceed to like literally bankrupt them, where the studios are like hemorrhaging money. But that's a whole story for another day. Let's get back to Pearl real quick. She finishes up this segment by stating, women are also given government incentive to leave. And by that, I'm guessing that she's talking about divorce, and how lopsided the legal system is against men. As a married man and dweller of the manosphere here, and whatnot, I will say, I've heard 1,001 stories about men who have gotten married, they've had kids, and they find their wife cheating and whatever, and this poor guy, he proceeds to lose like half of everything in the divorce. There's a million stories going down that route about men who have been absolutely destroyed. The legal system is so bad You hear about no fault states and at fault states and alimony and paternity tests and child support and this is stuff that's helped spur and helped push the MTAL movement. It's stuff that's helped stunt marriage. It's literally This is stuff, ladies and gentlemen, that has literally scared men into not getting married. And as I said, I dwell in the manosphere. And as I said, there's a million Reddit cheating stories that is read by AI. There's God knows how many men's relationship channels with men who lament about their wives cheating on them and how the courts destroyed them. Like this stuff is just all over YouTube. And it is a huge reason why a lot of men are scared to get married. And unfortunately, they won't get married.
Whenever I say any information that makes women look bad, the gut reaction is one, what did the men do? And two, something that excuses the behavior. For example, if I talk about women making bad choices, what do you guys do? What does the simpery do? Oh, it's the culture's fault. Oh, it's feminism's fault. It's never the woman's individual choice. Now, what does that tell us? We actually live in a culture that doesn't shame women for doing any of these decisions. You see female single mother influencers on the right. And that's the other thing. It's interesting because everyone's trying to pretend marriage isn't dead. But even amongst conservative influencers, many have been married multiple times. Many are divorced. There's single mothers in there. So even on the right, we can't preserve it. Doesn't seem like.
Let's skip the part quick where Pearl just talks about how she thinks by this 2030 deadline, you'll see at least a quarter of women will be doing like S work, like OFAMs and academia, how it goes out of its way to try to censor any wrongdoing by women. And, that's where this clip starts here. Like, Pearl goes on to basically talk about female accountability, which is pretty cool from a guy's perspective. Like, men talk about it all the time. There's one male relationship YouTuber in particular. I won't say who he is, but he's always quoting, like, it's like the old joke about women and accountability. He always says that it's the old joke about women and accountability, like they don't go hand in hand. Like women just do not hold themselves accountable. And that Pearl actually talks here about how women are not held accountable for their wrongdoings in relationships. But Pearl also brings up conservative influencers, which I thought was neat too, especially the female influencers. I guess I should specify how a lot of them are single mothers, how a lot of them are on their second marriage, et cetera, et cetera. That's something I never thought about, or I never even thought to look into. I guess as a tradcon type myself, as someone who promotes traditional, love, marriage, kids, and family. This goes to show, as I said in my last video, it goes to show, be careful who you get your advice and your information from. Like, I will admit, there are a lot of trad wife influencers, who are they're just in it for the money. It's just a show. It's a business to them. They're professional trad wives. They're making money as they make their homemade sourdough, as they're milking cows and all that stuff. It's a business to them. It's not a lifestyle. At least myself as a married man, I don't pretend to be anything else, other than the fact that I show marriage to women and men. Like, I'm just a regular guy. But for all these ideal trad type influencers, a lot of them are hiding some secrets, and that's important to know. You got to be careful who you listen to and who you take advice from and who you actually even just take seriously. I will say though, at least with men in the red pill, like manosphere, quote unquote, portion of the internet, guys are pretty straightforward with their advice. Like even the Andrew Tate, like alpha male types, like they'll straight up say to your face, like, don't get married. Focus on your grind, guys. Like, they'll go as far as to say women are just for sex. Like don't form relationships. Stay on your hustle, stay on your grind. If you do want sex, hell, just hire a call girl. Some of these guys even say. Like I don't know any male influencers or whatnot that are like these trad white women, who have been married 2 times or single mothers and who are hustling and just posing as something they're not. Like Pearl, she brings up a really good point here. If anything, like male relationship YouTubers, a lot of them are guys who were burned by women, like who were divorced, who were cheated on. These are guys that lost everything, and it made them what they are. And like to that, women who cheated on guys like this, like they need to understand. To the woman that cheated on this guy, like she unknowingly created a mouthpiece that is turning 100 or 1,000 men away from relationships. And that's crazy to think about. Like the ripple effect, it takes one woman to cheat on a man to make his heart hard and to make him become an absolute like bastion against do not ever get married, do not ever have relationships. Like that's crazy to think about. I even as myself as a married
It's
man.
kind of scary to think about what the future holds because the future is going to be not what I wish it to be, but what every stat that you look at shows it's going to be. If you look at dating app stats, which is the number one way people meet under 30, if you look at the STD stats, it shows women are the ones spreading them, small percentage of men are spreading them. It's going to be a lot of sex workers, especially if they start pulling away government benefits. Women will run to sex work. A bunch of single mothers and women sharing men. Women are already sharing men. They may not know it or do it publicly, but it's already happening. So when we look at the future, how do you reverse an economy? Guys, 80% of consumer buying decisions are done by women. That is so much money. That is billions of dollars spent marketing and selling things to women. It's all precedented on women being single and them being able to sell stuff to them. The divorce industry is like billions. It's a huge industry. So will that be reversed anytime soon?
So I kind of have a small portion where Pearl talks about, the future, what it might hold. But she does go on to state that, statistics pulled from dating apps, which is where, people of this age demographic, it's where they usually meet. She talks about STD stats and goes from there. But what you will see is women that will turn to sex work. Women, they'll become single mothers. Women, they'll end up sharing men. They already do, mind you, just unknowingly. She does then go on to talk about the consumer market, how it preys on women, single women, advertisements that are engineered towards these women. And in this economy, 80% of buying is done by women. So it is a huge economy. And then you factor in the divorce industry. So both you have the consumer market that's ready to jump on this female demographic. And then you have the divorce industry that's just quietly sitting there just waiting to prey on them as well. Both of them are geared and ready, moving themselves into a position where they can market to these women. And, Pearl just asks, will this be reversed anytime soon?
If the right and the left doesn't shame women, or at least tell women or not allow women to make an excuse like I was young and dumb. No, no, you made those crazy choices because you wanted to. Then it'll just stay the same. So it's a little bit scary when you think about the future, because if that's what 2030 holds, what will 2040 hold?
So this last clip is just Pearl bringing up female accountability, and we as the right and the left, the red pill and the blue pill, we as a society, we can't or won't hold women accountable. And if we don't, and if we can't, what's the future going to look like is what she asks. And I agree 100% with that. As a married man, to bring up the manosphere again, to bring up modern dating, all I can do is say that on behalf of men, men aren't doing their part to hold women accountable. How? Well, by refusing to marry them, by refusing to date them, like hell, even refusing to take them to a restaurant on a first date, like just for coffee. You want to know why? Because there are women who brag about how they use men for a free meal. I know so many red pill MTOW type YouTubers that talk about, if you're a man in the dating market, you need to do better. Like, don't settle for women in that 30s who have been, who have ridden the carousel, who have racked up body counts in the triple digits, and only now as they're hitting the wall do they want to settle. Like, no, go find yourself an 18-year-old unicorn. Wife her up instead. Find yourself a woman that's younger, who doesn't have this sordid background, who doesn't have baggage, you know, or else like become a passport bro is what they're saying. Go find a wife outside the country, you know, and they're also saying, these modern women, these modern Western women, these guys are saying if she has that boss lady attitude, if she has that alpha personality, she touts her PhD and her title as an executive, guys, don't bother. Like, she's not worth it. Like, that's the advice men are giving each other online. Like, I was actually in line the other day at a coffee shop, and I was talking to a woman behind me. We were just talking as we waited, and she mentioned something about the city we lived in, and I replied to her by stating, you haven't really seen much of it. And yeah, she talked to me about, well, I'm near the end of my contract, my medical contract, and I'm thinking I might go somewhere at the end of this contract, somewhere close to a beach. And I replied to her, oh, so you're one of those traveling nurses then, huh? And all of a sudden she got really angry at me, and she sternly informed me how sick she is of men assuming she's a nurse. And no, I'm a doctor. And then there was this real awkward silence between us until I got my coffee and left. And but I was sitting in the car a little bit later, and I was laughing about it, to be honest, because like whether she's a nurse or a doctor, like I didn't get two fucks. Here I was, I hurt this poor doctor's pride by assuming she was a traveling nurse. And, it's like at the end of the day, I didn't give two fucks whether she was a nurse or a doctor or whoever. But that kind of sums up, the attitude a lot of women have, and guys just, they're sick of it. And though they'd rather do a hard path than have to deal with that attitude. But this video by Pearl, and the mindset that women have, it coincides with women. It coincides with the countless articles I've read about women and written by women stating, where are all the good men at? These articles state, they ask, I can't find a man I'm worth, where are all these, I'm a sexy, successful single woman, and why can't I find a man? These articles, they'll start becoming the same thing. The more you read, the more it's just all the same sense of entitlement, the same astonishment from women that, oh, I can't find a man. Where are all these men at? And, you know, it's crazy to me. It coincides with, the fact that men are saying don't bother with women anymore. It correlates, everything correlates together is what I'm trying to really poorly say here. Like on one side, you got women stating, "Where are all the good men?" And then on the other side, you have men saying, "Don't bother with modern women anymore. They're not worth it." So, like, that's one thing I've come to see as a married man. Like, I see that divide. I see like the trouble that men or women are having connecting now. And as a married man, like, I don't think a lot of women have come to understand that they only have themselves to blame. And I'm gonna drop a real uncomfortable truth bomb here, but these women they've been lied to. This Sex in the City, whore my way through my 20s until I find Mr. Right, that type of mindset. And men are only now starting to hold women accountable. How are they doing that? By not marrying them. And even Pearl notes in this video a couple of times, like women just refuse to hold themselves accountable and how academia covers for them. And like Pearl mentions, like how many women do OnlyFans? How many women do sex work? How many women are going to end up doing that sort of thing? I, I read an article the other day, guys, about men and dating, and in this article, men unanimously stated that they would never, never date a woman who did OF, like OnlyFans. Never. Would they have sex with her? Sure. Hell yeah, they would. A one night stand, that's great. Of course they would. Would they marry a woman like with a background like that? Hell no. You want to know why it's embarrassing? It embarrasses them because it shows that there's a woman of low moral stature who's willing to just sell her body like that, do sex acts like that. And no guy will wife up a woman like that. But to sum up this video by Pearl real quick, like, in the beginning, she stated the Morgan Stanley poll by how 2030, 50% of women are going to be single and childless. And she asks, what could be done? She states accountability, that's what. And that's, as I'm saying, and that men have been saying, academia and the media, they try to hide it. Corporate America, the consumer market, they're ready to jump on it and prey on it. But women, at the end of the day, need to hold themselves accountable. As a married man, ladies, if you're on Tinder, you need to get off. If you're riding that carousel, you need to get off. If you take sex and use sex as a recreational pastime, you need to stop. Like, ladies, you'll get a man on Tinder because sex is easy for you. Like, will those same men hit you up in your DMs on Instagram, and have a one night stand with you? Are they gonna marry you? Hell no. Like, you're an easy lay. Like, that's all you are to men. If you have that sort of lifestyle, you're nothing but an easy lay. You're nothing but a one night stand. Period. Like, is that an unfair double standard between men and women? Yes, it is. As a married man, I'll admit it is an unfair double standard. Men get to sleep around and men, get to rack up body counts. And, well, why can't women do that? Well, it's because it's so much harder for men. That's why men have to work so much harder to get a woman. And women, you have to do absolutely nothing. You can just, men will come to you by the dozens. A woman can have sex every night of the day, every day of the week. What a woman can have sex with a different man, and she doesn't even have to try. That's the double standard. Men have to work for it, women don't. Like, for men, it's a status symbol to be able to rack up a body count. It shows he's got gain and skill, or else he supplements it with money and a fancy lifestyle, or he's a celebrity, or he's got something that a woman wants and attracts women. But women they don't have to do anything in order to get men like that. And that is the double standard, and it's the unfortunate truth. And the unfortunate truth is that those men who are sleeping with you, ladies, they're not going to respect you, and they certainly are not going to marry you. And that's the unfortunate reality women have to face. Where are all the good men? You might have slept with them at one point or the other, that those good men, they're not going to marry you and they won't. And they've taken themselves out of the equation. Once you've been slept with, once you've had the one night stand and that guy's gone, ladies, you're no longer in the equation for marriage. And the whole point of this story is, ladies, you're going to end up as part of that 50%, childless and single. And whose fault is that? Let me know what you guys have to say in the comments here. Is pro right? Like, are women doomed to be single and childless? You know, whose fault is that? Is it the women's fault? Is it the men's fault? Is it the double standard? Is it society? Is it feminism? Is it the patriarchy? You know, let me know, guys. Hit me up in the comments. If you do want to hit me up directly, my email is asamarriedman@outlook.com. If you've got video ideas, if you want to just say hi, I appreciate you. I love when you guys send me emails. It's a highlight of my day, to be honest. As sad as that sounds. But yeah, hit me up in the comments in the video, in the email. Let me know what you think. Once again, before I go, I just want to say I appreciate you all. I hope you can give me a like. I hope you can give me a subscription. I am trying to reach a modest 250. I know that's kind of laughable compared to like Pearl, for example. She's over 1 million, I think, which means she's my sworn enemy now. But go ahead and hit up Pearl, guys. Go ahead and hit me up. Watch some more of my videos. Give me a like and a sub and all that. I already said that. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys at see you all at the next video. Thanks for listening and bye for now.